Hello, Guild Ballers. Welcome to Superior Strategy, the podcast where we break down the tactics, teams, and mind games behind our beloved game of Guild Ball. We're your hosts, Carlo,
Jared, and we're the biggest Honor fanboys in the West. And today, we're tackling one of the biggest questions on every new or returning player's mind: which guild should I play?
and which guild is right for you. Now, while there's no single best guild in Guild Ball, makes sense. Every team can win games. Every guild has a different identity and strengths and weaknesses, and a lot of the fun comes from finding out the one that gels the best with you.
So today, we're breaking the guilds down by putting a vibe check rating based on these three core categories: goal scoring, takeouts, and control. We'll talk about what each category means, which guilds excel at which categories, and what kind of player each guild would appeal to.
If you're just getting started and you're looking at this entire Guild Ball app, overwhelming amount of captains and models, and you're wondering where you should start, then this is the episode that you need to watch. So before we dive deep into these guilds, we're going to go over the three criteria we're going to judge them on. So here they are.
So first we have goal scoring. This is going to be a combination of the guild's mobility, their ball movement, ability to get the ball back from enemy models, positioning, and explosive plays where they can really kind of combine multiple aspects of this together all at once to score a goal in a way that your opponent can't really respond to. These guilds want to win through football. They threaten the goal from surprising distances and punish mistakes instantly. You can kind of associate this with the need for speed or gotta go fast kind of mentality.
Oh, yeah, baby. The faster, the better. All right, moving on. The next criteria is takeouts. You want to go, bub? I'm just kidding. Takeouts teams, they want to remove models from the pitch. They hit really hard, they brawl hard, and they kill hard. There's several ways to take out models, and these particular guilds excel at all of them. Whether it be through conditions or high damage models or damage buffs or tack buffs. These are the guilds that just want to murder.
And then you have control. Control guilds are going to manipulate the game itself, the way that the board state exists. They're going to reduce movement, reduce stats as well, steal influence, reposition enemies, reposition allies, and generally make your opponent feel miserable for making choices. You really want to punish the other person in a nice way for playing the game.
And without further ado, now that you know how we will be judging these, we're going to start with the guilds. And the first guild on the board is Alchemists. All right, so Alchemists were my first love. The red signifies takeouts, the blue signifies goal, and the green signifies control. So Alchemists are very high on condition games. They're pretty fast, pretty speedy, and they get a lot of free stuff. They put out a lot of burning and poison, and then they manipulate it by taking it off, moving it around, doing that kind of fun shenanigan-y things. They're mainly a goal-scoring team, but they can definitely flex into a 2-2. And following the Alchemists, we have Lamplighters. Now, they are similar to the Alchemists, but they have less poison, and they do more stuff with the burn condition. They apply burning to themselves, and their models do extra stuff when they're on fire or when they're out of fire. They apply more burning. They're faster. They have one particular striker, Wick, that is really good. And their players explode, so that's fun. They go boom, and they're really, really good at scoring goals. Up next, we got...
Next up, we have the Blacksmiths. which is another well-rounded team. Focuses a little bit more on combat value and having big damage and lots of buffs for the team. But it's a balance of offensive and defensive buffs. They have a master apprentice system rather than the captain mascot squatty setup that most guilds have, where you'll have the different masters on your team. Your 6 models, you'll have 3 masters, 3 apprentices, and each of the apprentices will get some kind of buff from being near or being on the pitch as the master they're associated with. They have a lot of flexibility in terms of what your 12 can look like and what your 6 can look like. All of their masters have the ability to be in that captain slot, which further increases their own capabilities. And on the pitch, their play style tends to be a lot of setup, masters doing the setup, and then the apprentices being the payoff models.
All right, up next we got the Brewers. Now, these guys, they're the knockdown kings. They want to punch you, put you on the ground, and gang up on you. They like to push you a lot. They are very, very scrummy, and a scrum in Guild Ball, if you don't know what it is where like you got the group of people and you just get all the crowd outs and you just beat up on them. They all have heroic plays, which is meant to signify them drinking beer to make them better because they're better when they're drunk. So yes, beer. Beer is good. Beer is the best. Up next, we got the Butchers. Butchers are a team that I've been playing a lot recently. They have tons of damage. They stack damage buffs. They're extremely fast. They're very glass cannon-y, meaning they can hit really, really hard, but they cannot take it at all. And whereas the alchemists use a lot of burning and poison, these guys apply bleed like it's going out of style. So you really kind of want to wait till the end of the activation to throw out them bleed tokens to make the most out of them. Jared, why don't you tell us about the Cooks, their minor guild?
So the cooks are going to be even more glass cannon than the butchers. They kind of take everything that the butchers do and turn it up to 11, and utilizing the burn condition instead of bleed for some AOE damage and just a little bit of like speed control, and forcing opponents to kind of stay grouped up in one area. Um, they have an intimidation rule which reduces the enemy's defense. So they have that instead of a lot of the damage buffs that the butchers have. But overall, it's just lots and lots of hit people really hard.
Oh, yeah. And that intimidation is no joke. Bringing a defense 3 model down to defense 2 is big bucks winning. All right, engineers. One of my loves. I love the robot aesthetic. They got a lot of, well, they're not really robots. They're like wooden robots. They're called Mechanica in the game. They do go beep boop. And they do have lots of guns. They do go pew pew. And they've got the best kick stats in the game. I think there's very few engineers that don't have 4-die kicks. They can control the ball from range. They can control you from range. They're very much so a goal-centered faction, but they do so in a way that's different than anything else. And, you know, the weird thing about them is like they do make you feel like every model is a cog to the machine, and if you like connect all the cogs together, you can hashtag dunk sick goals.
Like a Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah, exactly. Take the miners, Mr. Jared.
So the miners would be the minor guild for the engineers. And they have a rule called Secret Tunnel, um, which
Secret tunnel.
allows them to teleport at the start of their turn. They have a lot of pushes and knockdowns, and a couple of debuffs that they can hand out with some of their models. And much like the engineers, they want to run at the goal and try to kick that ball in before they die to the other team.
Secret tunnel.
And now that we've mentioned a couple of the minor guilds, it's worth noting here that minor guilds share a couple of crossover models with the major guilds that they're associated with. So two from the major guild can play down, and then two from the minor guild can play up. Um, just for
Mine,
reference.
yeah, minor guilds are a great place to start because 8 models is all you have. So your choices are very limited, which is a good thing because especially when you're getting started, because you don't have to worry about getting analysis paralysis, and you're gonna not gonna make a mistake when you only have 8 models. All right, farmers, your first love, Jared.
So farmers is the guild that I got into the game with. They have a scarecrow who is really cool looking. They have big health pools. Their big goal, or their primary guild mechanic is harvest markers. Their models are divided into two categories, a little bit like the blacksmiths, but it's planters and reapers. So planters will put down the harvest markers, and they usually bring more influence to the team, whereas reapers will use the harvest markers typically for free actions. Sometimes it gives them just a buff. Um, but they bring less influence to the team, but they can hold more and do more with it. They have big health pools, that a good amount of healing, and they're pretty good at scrumming. But they also have a few models that are actually quite good at playing with the ball or protecting the ball. So they kind of lean into that 2-2 a little bit more, where you want to get 2 kills and 2 goals, or a little bit more into the 4 kills, 1 goal direction of the game.
Mm-hmm. Harvest markers, and they do have a donkey mascot that is arguably a squatty. We got shepherds, Jared.
So the shepherds are going to be the minor guild. For the farmers, their like big shtick is all of their models do something for your team when they die. So it's a little bit of like some anti-takeout tech, where it's going to be things like the rest of your team gets an armor buff, or everybody gets influence, or you get all of your harvest markers out. Just a couple of different things like that. They have the most animals, I think, that they can put on the table at a time of any
I want
guild.
4. Is it 4?
The pig, the 2 dogs,
The ram.
the ram, and then Honor's old
Oh
model
yeah,
has a
yeah, the
dog as
dog.
well.
Yeah.
So you can have five animals on the pitch. They're a little bit more goal oriented than they are takeout oriented, and a lot of their impact for the turn comes from the captain itself doing work.
Mm-hmm. Up next, we got the Fishermen Guild, or Fish, as they're more popularly known. Is that a word?
Yes.
Known. They're they're very fast, very fast. They got dodges for days. So in the game, in case you don't know, you got dodges and pushes, whereas brewers have pushes on all their models where they can manipulate your models. These guys have dodges on their attacks, which means they can manipulate themselves. They can extend ranges, dance around you, do the old weaveroo like a fish. I did a little fish motion. They are mainly concerned with getting goals. There are certain play styles of fish where they want you to kind of get stuck in with Corsair, but most of it revolves around getting goals and stealing the ball off of you with range and making you pass it to them with Siren, or just using Angel as a snapshot turret or anything like that. But they're very good at hitting the back of the net. And we got Navigators, which are the minor guild of the Fish. I've been playing these guys a lot recently. They're really fun. As it says on screen, rerolls. So they're the only models in the game that can reroll all of their attacks. I mean, Obulus, we'll get there later. But they can reroll all of their dice when they make an attack or they make a kick. So they're very accurate. They are balanced because they got their momentum on the top of their books, and they can't do more than 3 damage on one model. And then that model is Azimuth. If you're playing Navigators, you're playing Azimuth. The team does not work without him. You got to play Big Daddy Azzy. And they're also extremely, extremely fast. Not as fast as fish, but still pretty fast.
Uh, on the legendary turn, they can be faster than fish.
This is true. We got hunters, Jared.
All right, so hunters are up next. It's a guild with a lot of hunting related things. They have a lot of models that put down traps. One of the captains allows all of your models, or most of them anyway, to put down traps even if they normally wouldn't be able to. They have a lot of ranged character plays, lots of characters with bows, a couple of them with guns, a few of them throw spears. Um, Most of them or many of them are light-footed as well, so they can walk through rough terrain, which is good because a couple of the models put down little pieces of forest terrain, which can be used to protect your models or get in the way of your opponent's models. And then one of the big highlight models within the guild is Cena, the bear, who
It's an
has
actual bear.
it is an actual bear with the right to bear arms, and and has in the lore killed at least one other player on the pitch.
Yeah. If you're not playing the bear, at least in 2 out of your 5 hunters games, you're not playing hunters.
Yeah. Falconers is next. This is uh, one of my favorite guilds to play. They have a lot of versatility. Um, their big mechanic is that they have these Harrier templates that you can set out. 4 of the models you have access to put them out, and these Harriers do 2 things. One, or I guess three things. One is that it provides a damage buff against enemies that are inside the Harrier. 2 of the models on your team get a defensive buff for being inside the Harrier, and then the Captain Divana can orbital bombardment on the Harriers to make a giant attack at the cost of removing the Harrier afterwards.
That
So
was the
that's
worst call ever. I'm sorry.
that death from above ability that she has. They very much benefit from having activation space to do setup and then have payoff with some of their damage models. It's kind of very important to the way that they work. Um, but don't let that convince you that you always have to set up. I think that's one of the big downfalls of some people that play Falconers is that they focus on setting up the super perfect, most optimal turn, only to lose on the way because they didn't take advantage of situations that they could have.
All right, moving on to my babies, the Masons. So Masons play honest guild ball. That's what I like to say. They don't have any guns. They don't have any conditions other than knockdown. All they can do is walk and punch you, but they punch you really hard, and they're very adaptable. They they're really good at scoring goals and they're really good at taking you out, but they don't excel at either. So they don't do as much damage as butchers, and they're not as good at scoring goals as fish. But when playing against fish, they can kill them hard, and when playing against butchers, they can score goals. They do have a lot of auras, so like you kind of want to be in like a little bunker with a few exceptions here and there, and they're really keen on synergy. So like a couple of models can combo up and like make some really sick plays. And I would go. We'll do some deep dives into some of these guilds later on, but we this is more of like a surface level type deal. And again, green is control, blue is goal scoring, and red is takeouts. Just in case you just started looking at these charts and wanted to go back. And last but not least, they have the best mascot in the game. Change my mind. It is the monkey. He counter charges. He throws poop at you. He's the best. Marbles, goat.
Yeah, so Masons is a guild that will really kind of focus on the fundamentals of the game. and really knowing the core rules and how to execute them without a whole lot of like guild specific interactions. Um, to touch on the scoring thing again, to reiterate, they're ranked on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of how much the guild focuses on that thing, but these aren't necessarily in comparison to each other, or it's definitely not a rating system to compare the guilds as good or bad at things. It's more just what's the identity of the guild focus on.
What are they designed for, basically?
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, we got Jacks. Now, I haven't played them too much. They are really, 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 really good at bunkering up and like setting up things. Oak, the captain, is really, really good at like going in there, doing a bunch of setup. Bucker or Crosscut can come and like capitalize on it. They are pretty flexible. And Timber, because as soon as Crosscut hits the table, you better run because that model will delete yours
Yeah.
faster than you can kill it.
Hmm.
Their power economy is very, very high on Crosscut.
Yeah, it's very much a set them up and knock them down kind of guild.
Literally.
Hmm.
We got Morticians. So these are like the premier control faction or
Hmm.
guild of the game. They make your models do things they don't want to do. They control your activation order. They tax you for hitting them. They gain momentum just for existing sometimes. And they do deny you stuff. They can move your influence around. They can do a lot of things to make your life harder. And they're all about bringing the right tool for the job. Like if you want to control activation order, well, that's just one model. If you want to make the opponent work for something, that's another model. If you want to focus on damage, that's another model. If you want to put up all this rough terrain and have a cool guy put another body in a coffin, and that's another model. But they're basically about controlling the area of the pitch that they want to control, whether it's by making you do something that you don't want to, or taxing your resources, or just kind of like manipulating the game state.
Hmm. The morticians really thrive off of the draft phase of the game, where you're bringing the correct models to a pitch. And if you bring a tool and you don't utilize it to its fullest effect, or the plan that you had for it um, gets countered by your opponent's choices, then um, that's kind of the risk of, are you leveraging the control the right way or not?
And we got rats. Rats are probably my favorite minor guild. They are like Morts, where they do control you, but it's in a different way. So they're the only guild in the entire game that have disease, or as I like to call it, scabies or rabies. So disease, there's two models that start with it, and then when they end their activation, all models within two, including your own, get diseased, and then they start spreading it when they activate until like the whole pitch is diseased. And it taxes your momentum, so you it costs you one extra to either heal yourself or heal others. Piper, the captain, can control your models and escort them off the pitch in most cases. Um, and they do have this thing called a dilemma mechanic, where there's a couple of models, well, more like three, that give you two choices, and both choices are bad for you. Like Piper can say, "Hey, do you want me to walk to you, or do you want to walk to me?" They're both not good choices, but you have to make one. Pelage can say, "Oh, okay, well, my turn's over. So do you want to take snared in an AoE or 3 damage in an AoE?" Again, both not good choices, but their main function is controlling and that disease mechanic. And once they take control of the momentum game, it's really hard to win it back. Then we
Um,
got Union.
yeah, so Union is kind of the mercenary vibe. You have pirates and duelists and models with top hats that look like they're from the gangs of New York, and um, it's a really kind of a hodgepodge mix of designs there. But the overall theme is that they're really good at fighting. They have a couple of models that are also really good at playing with the ball, um, but mostly by virtue of their minor guild adding in a couple of new characters for them to have access to. Um, they generate so much momentum, um, with especially under one of their captains gives you just tons of momentum. And they just do very good damage overall. They have they might not
Yes,
have bleed.
they do.
Yes, they do.
Rage.
They have every condition. Yeah.
They're the
Um,
only guild in the game, I think, that has access to all of the conditions, except
yeah.
disease, of course.
Yes. But they don't focus on it as much. Like it's more of a secondary effect that a lot of characters just well now you're bleeding. Okay, cool. Moving on.
Or now you're burning, or now you're poisoned, or now you're
Yeah.
snared, or now you're knocked down.
Yep. So they're just very good at fighting overall. And then you can score a goal here or there without too much extra effort. And then we have Order, which is they're very focused on goal scoring, but uh, they are like the epitome of dunk stick goals, the guild. Uh, but it's one of those situations where they also have like pretty decent fighting to back it up in case goal scoring gets knocked off the table for them. Um, they have an extra ball to play with in the game, and they have free passes, free dodges when they do passes. Um, so much speed. One of their big like tips and tricks is that you can either kicking or receiving score a goal on the first activation of the game, um, basically from the deployment zone if you plan it out right. Um, and their uh, extra ball is called the ball of light, so it's like a very churchy oriented thing for them as far as
It's
the flavor
holy
goes.
balls.
Yeah. And the models have pretty sick masks. I guess a really cool design to have like the big armor and then these like faceless mask things on. It's pretty cool.
Yes, indeed. So that's going to be all the guilds.
Yep.
And we're going to go right into our first of many of this segment. It's called Rookies on the Pitch. In this segment, what we like to do is we are going to have new players ask us a question about the game, anything that they are having trouble with or want to get better at. And this week, we have Matthew, also known as Infinite Rewind, with this question.
Hello there, friendos. Matthew here, aka Infinite Rewind in the GBCP Discord. I have a question for you. As a relatively novice skilled player, I feel it's easy to just pick 6 models and try and play, for better or for worse. My question here is this: apart from guild identity or any number of easy entry platitudes found online about the game at this point in time, what are the general things you think about when constructing a 12 for a tournament? Any feedback would be welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Good luck on the show. See you on the pitch.
Okay, well, thanks, Matthew, for that question. It was playing. It's fine. We're chilling. Yeah, so constructing a 12 or an 8 or a 6. We will definitely do a deep dive on this on the pregame platitudes, as you so elegantly put it with that question. So it really depends on what your game plan is. A lot at the beginning, you just put models on the table until you kind of know and you get a feel for what each model does. But as you get your reps in, you start getting a game plan. Oh, I want to get two takeouts and two goals. Well, I have to figure out which are my best models for that, which models need influence, which models are like a support and don't need influence. And you start putting together these like squads that do help in a lot. And then so like also if you're playing against fishermen or farmers or like guilds that have notoriously 2-inch melee, if you draft an entire guild of not 2-inch melee, then you're not going to be able to interact with counterattacks and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different factors that can determine like what you would want to choose to bring to a game. Do you have anything to add on that, Jared?
Um, yeah, I think it mostly applies to the major guilds, but choosing out of the 17, or in the case of two guilds, 18, or in the case of two other guilds, 15 uh, models to choose from, you have to cut it down to 12. And part of that includes cutting out one of your three captain choices, which can make a very big impact on what your 12 looks like. Certain squaddies and mascots will work better with different captains, and that'll very drastically change what one person's 12 looks like compared to another person's, just by virtue of them wanting to play captains 1 and 2 versus captains 2 and 3.
Yeah. And again, once you establish a game plan, stick to that game plan. I mean, feel free to adapt and take on some wily big risk play, because that's what Guild Ball's all about is, getting a goal with, Ghast, or getting a goal with marbles or whatever it is,
Getting a takeout with Icaros.
well, that happens a lot more than you think it does. But yeah, like anything like that, and I believe in an episode coming up soon, we're going to talk about everything pre-game, and this is going to be a part of it. But thank you so much for that question, Matthew. I'm going to move on to the closing now.
So at the end of the day, the best guild is the one that matches how you enjoy playing the game.
I missed.
There's not only the aesthetics, which is an important part of it, but what the guild does on the table is going to very distinctly vibe with different people different ways. And so this is kind of just our way of helping share some of those descriptions with you, details.
At the end of the day, if none of these pie charts and short descriptions change your mind or steer you in the right direction, pick the models that you think look the coolest, because whatever's going to keep you coming back and playing and learning, that's the guild that you should play.
So thanks for listening to Superior Strategy. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with your local gaming group and let us know which guild you started with. Next episode, we'll break down game plans and drafting out of your 12.
Until next time, play nice.
Roll dice.
And don't forget your monkey. Peace out, guys.